So I'm going to get into some of the rapid fire questions. What's
Sure.
the biggest compromise that you've had to make to get where you are?
Oh man, that is a big, big question. So there's eight partners in cards, and the things I'm talking about are the things that I'm about, and not all of the guys are about that. Some of the guys are Republicans, some of them are libertarians. There's one, David Pinzoff, one of the partners, is getting his PhD in evolutionary psychology at UCLA, which is about sort of philosophically the exact opposite of everything I believe in the world. And we're best friend. We're all best friends. Like I think these guys. I think whatever their political leanings, like I find them to be good in good faith, internally consistent, empathetic, and rational. And I can always not merely tolerate their views, but I am challenged by their views, and I try to open myself up to accept them. So occasionally we've had to. That means that we've had to make compromises that I was really uncomfortable with, or unhappy with. So a great example is for a long time, most of us, like seven of the eight partners, are huge NPR fans, and we're specifically huge WBEZ fans in Chicago. We grew up listening to it. Formative for our sense of humor. It's my number one place that I get news. I've really wanted to support them and do a charity thing with them. Um, One of the partners does not believe that public radio should receive federal funding. He is philosophically, politically, and in every possible way, on principle, against any public funding for public media. And I find his position. I think it's dumb, and I don't agree with it. But I find it to be. I cannot dismiss it because his point is this: in America, the state should not have a media outlet, and actually think that's probably a good point. I mean, I don't think NPR is an apparatus for the state. I mean, they were clearly very critical of the Bush administration and so on and so forth. But I get it. I understand why he feels. I think that's a justify. I think it's a well reasoned, justified position to hold. I certainly was not able to convince him, and he wasn't able to convince me. But it did mean that we weren't able to give money to BEZ for a long time, and eventually we sort of reached, and that was sort of a compromise I made. Eventually, we did get to do a cool fundraiser for BEZ, and he had sort of changed his mind on that. But those little battles, like I lose them all the time, and compromises get made. Specifically in the writing, there are tons and tons of jokes in Cards Against Humanity that I hate, and I'm uncomfortable that they're there, and I don't like them. And if I was the sole author of the game, they'd be gone in an instant. Similarly, there's lots of jokes that I love that the other guys hate, and some of them want to take my favorite jokes out, or I have jokes that I'm dying to put in that will never make it in because the group can't come to a consensus on it. And that's just creative compromise. That's what has to happen when you're 1/8 of the owner of the
Hmm.
company, right?
I mean, I feel like it must really help that you have all known each other for so long. You're not about to. One of you isn't just about to say like, "Oh, I quit and just take the goldfish with me," like Jerry Maguire.
Yeah, you know what's funny is there was a great one of the first articles that was ever written about us was this Sun Times article. It was this garbage article, and they were like, this business. They literally said this business has the sophistication of a lemonade stand, and they went and interviewed like an economist at U Chicago or a business professor, and he was like, this is a horrible business. And he's like, these guys are going to rip themselves apart fighting about money, and it's only a matter of time. And that was like 5 years ago, and we still haven't ever had a fight about money. And it's just, I mean, I cannot recommend that everybody start a project with their eight best friends as exactly equal partners where no one is in charge and you make every decision by consensus. I can't really prescribe that, but we've all known each other. I mean, I've literally known these guys for 25 years, and we've been through good times and bad. We've been bullied by the same bullies. It's just nothing is there's no this game could never be big enough or important enough that it's more important than our friendship, and all of the guys feel that way.
Hmm. When's the time you left money on the table in exchange for something that you valued?
um well, it's a great question. We do it all the time. I mean, one obvious thing is some of the guys feel very strongly that we should make Cards Against Humanity 2, that another product that had basically the same MSRP and the same margins and would get everyone to buy the game again, that would do really well and make tons of money and, double the amount of money we're making. And I feel that it's really lame. I feel that Cards Against Humanity 2 means Cards Against Humanity is over. And I'm just reluctant to do it. I don't ever want there to be a 2. So instead, what we do is every year we get together and we have this incredibly difficult creative meeting that goes for over a week. And we go over every single card in the game, and we usually replace about a fifth of the game. And so every year it gets renewed. We take out old pop culture. We take out jokes that are cruel or insensitive or that we're reconsidering after the year's news. We update everything. Obviously a lot of the Obama jokes will go away next year and they'll be replaced with like Hillary jokes. That's just the process of keeping the game current. And we don't charge anything extra for that. That's just Cards Against Humanity. It's just always, whenever you buy it, that's the philosophy. Whenever you buy it, it's always good. To me, that's leaving money on the table. If we didn't do that and instead we made those changes and called it Cards Against Humanity 2 and we asked people to rebuy it, we'd make a lot of money doing that. Also like obviously independent, not having a distributor, not having a publisher, it's hard to say. That probably is leaving money on the table at this point. Like we could be in every retail store in the country at this point, but it's just not cool to us to do. We're kind of experimenting with like this really crazy relationship where we're independently distributing our own game to Target, and we're doing like a trial run of that, and we'll see where that goes. Again, I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but like I'm not really in favor of it. I think it's kind of lame, but it's also like it's very hard to turn the terms that we're getting and the precedent that it sets for other independent games to be able to get this kind of mainstream distribution under their own terms. I do see the upside to it. I do see that it's culturally important for independent games for us to sort of break down this wall. And of course, now that we have like an office and employees and expenses, it is hard for me to say, well, let's walk away from this incredible amount of money we'll make. Mm-hmm. So,
and just as an aside to the independent games part, you are developing sort of services to help independent game developers.
Yeah, we just launched a new sort of spin-off company called Black Box. You can find that at blackbox.cool, and we do shipping, sales, distribution, all that kind of stuff for other independent games. And you can use us to do those services and retain complete independence, have creative freedom over your game, do things however you want. It's kind of the service we just always wanted to exist as we were working on cards.
Right. And when you started cards, you didn't really know how to do all of those things and didn't really think to find a publisher or something like that. Did it all on your own.
Yeah, we just sort of failed upwards for years.